So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Kirby. So I'm a graduate research assistant on GenSea, which is a workforce development program trying to connect high school teachers and students to the blue economy. So on behalf of the GenSea team today, I'll be presenting some of the results we got from a evaluation of our internship program that occur over the summer. So Mississippi's coast is home to several coastal science and technology industries, such as energy, shipbuilding, ocean engineering, logistics, hydrography, and the proximity in the Northern Gulf, along with the strong university presence, has actually propelled this region to the third highest concentration of blue economy jobs in the country. But despite this booming sector, Mississippi does have some problems, and one of those problems is called brain drain. So over the past decade, Mississippi has experienced sharp decreases in its college-educated millennial population. And this has had severe economic consequences as, for example, between 2011 and 2016, the state has lost a cumulative of $1.4 billion to our neighboring states. So that's $1.4 billion in income that would have came to Mississippi that, thanks to this outmigration, is now being distributed into other states. So GenSea is a targeted response to this outmigration. So we strive to introduce students to new visions for their future, and that's a vision of working on the Gulf Coast in the blue economy. So nearly 1,500 students and teachers from around the region have traveled to the Gulf Coast for field experiences, summer internships, and multi-day teacher professional development events. So the success of GenSea is rooted in partnership. So we collaborate with key stakeholders such as USM School of Ocean Science and Engineering, as well as government agencies such as NASA, NOAA, Naval Oceanographic Command, as well as the Port of Gulfport and Mississippi's Department of Marine Resources. So in the summers of 2022 and 2023, GenSea hosted summer internships all across our coastal campuses at USM. So from Stennis all the way to our Gulf Park campus in Long Beach, and then the Gulf Coast Research Lab in Ocean Springs. These are 4 to 8 week experiences, and they span several different disciplines. So we have hydrography, aquaculture, ocean engineering, marine geology, computer modeling, ecological modeling, fisheries ecology, and ocean engineering, might have said that one already, but, and ecotoxicology, that's the one I was thinking of. So lots of different diversity in our programming, and these are paid internships. And at the end of their sessions, students had the opportunity to present their work in a traditional academic poster session, where they highlighted what they've been working on all summer to an audience of their peers, their parents, their mentors, as well as the Southern Miss community as well. So the workforce development literature on the blue economy highlights that professionals will require diverse skill sets and abilities for the 21st century blue workforce, such as adaptability, effective communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, but also in hodling Koch and Manley and preparing a workforce for the new blue economy, stress that these skills also have to be transdisciplinary, where scientists and engineers use these skills across a wide array of disciplines to work collaboratively in order to really solve the problems that are emerging with our oceans, as well as just getting more holistic understandings of the oceans as well. So the framework for this evaluation was guided by the Department of Defense Education Activity and National Defense Education Program, or NDEP, and they created these skills because students will require these specific sets of competencies known as 21st century skills in order to adapt and excel in the future STEM workforce. And this evaluation was guided by these outcomes here, meaning that each outcome was accompanied by a detailed description in the literature, and we use these as predetermined codes for our subsequent analysis. So the overall objective for this evaluation was to identify the learning and skill outcomes of our student interns and to describe the most frequently reported skill gains by them over the course of our sampling period. So we used a deductive mixed methods approach, which we analyzed our questionnaires pre and post, and then weekly journals. And this occurred over 2 phases. So in the first phase was a content analysis in which those 11 in-depth codes on the previous slides were qualitatively applied to the student data, and then based off of those descriptions. So if the descriptions really matched the student responses, then the code was applied. And then we quantified how many times and how frequently those codes were applied as well. And then for phase 2 included a thematic analysis. So we wanted to validate the findings of this content analysis, but we also wanted to identify specific patterns, answer questions like what's really happening, why and how, and to establish some patterns pertaining to, again, the outcomes in skill gains. So the total number of participants was 34. That's equally distributed of 17 in 2022 and 2023. All of our student interns thus far had at least finished the 10th grade level. And in terms of our ethnicity demographics, it was majority white at 62%, followed by those who identified as African American or Black, Asian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic and Latinx, or Native American. And then for our gender demographics, it was majority female, so we've had 56% of our population has been female so far. Our data sources are pre and post questionnaires, weekly reflections and field observations. So both the pre and post questionnaires and the weekly reflections really elicit open-ended responses, and we send those out electronically via Qualtrics. So the pre and post happened before and after the event, and weekly reflections were sent out every Friday. So some of the outcomes of the content analysis: overall, our 11 codes were applied a total of 321 times. All codes were applied, but 6 really stood out, being coded over 30 times, with communication being the most. It was the communication skills were coded 55 times in the data, followed by productivity 37 times, and technological literacy and critical thinking, and then creativity, all going over that 30 threshold as well. But communication was by far, and reference to communication skills were by far the most frequently coded skill outcome. So this process revealed coded themes, the thematic analysis that is, and they all aligned under the 6 in-depth outcomes that were most frequently coded. So those 6 that we just talked about on the previous slide, all of our themes fell under these outcomes as well. So that kind of provides support for both of those analyses, and they complement each other in that way. So specifically, the number one, the most frequent theme that we saw in the content analysis was communication, and 3 themes emerged under that in terms of student skill gain. So first was interpersonal and networking skills, public speaking skills, and then there was an increased comfort in asking questions and seeking help, being able to take your kind of curiosities and really vocalize them, and becoming more comfortable within their environment and wanting to ask questions and learn more, communicating with those people in their environment. Productivity was the second outcome. 2 themes emerged under that, and that was task management and efficiency. So as time went on, these student interns were able to manage more tasks and to do so more efficiently. So they were taking more on, they were completing, reaching goals, and they were doing so in a timely manner. They became more proactive, and confidence is kind of interweaved in all of this. As students became more adept at task management, they became more confident, and there was kind of a complementary there. The more confidence they exuded, really, the more productive they got. Technological literacy was the third outcome in terms of frequency, and 3 additional themes came from that outcome, and that's students were using equipment and technological tools that they previously didn't have access to. They were learning coding and programming languages, and they were analyzing and processing a lot of data. Some of these labs were processing a lot of data, so there was lots of reference to that. And you can see the quote here, this student really enjoyed working with 3D modeling software and the 3D printer. Collaboration, so through collaboration, students really came to 2 realizations throughout their experience. So first, they could accomplish tasks, and they can overcome obstacles through teamwork. And across the data, students reference teamwork and the importance of teamwork in their accomplishment of these tasks, as well as their professional growth. They say they left with a sense of, I'm ready to work with others, and I am now able to work with others better than when I came in. Critical thinking, 2 themes emerged, problem solving and analytical skills. So not only are they learning to analyze data and analytical methods, but also how to take the products of that analysis and draw and then articulate conclusions. And then finally, we have creativity, which the main theme that fell under that is autonomy. This was not a result I expected at the beginning. I kind of saw this as an outcome. I was like, well, that's cool that they outline that, but it was actually in our top 6 most coded. So students really appreciated in their workspaces being able to, 1, be themselves, and 2, have their ideas incorporated and their interests incorporated. You can see in this quote, the student was able to use art in their project, which we can go back and look at the picture. The art that was produced from that was absolutely amazing, and just the ability of the interns to use their talents really fed that sense of autonomy that they had. So the more that they could be themselves, the more autonomous and the more autonomy they felt throughout their internship. So some key insights is that there are some positive influences going on, specifically with these 6 skills outcome that we have addressed in the past slides. And these align very nicely with what is called for in the literature, in the workforce development literature. Also, this internship really provided a connection that these students never had before. So they were able to access these authentic work environments and the professionals within them. So they had access now to a role model. They had someone in the STEM industry that they can look up to. They now have a professional contact or several professional contacts. So this was a really pivotal and meaningful experience for them, because it really established meaningful relationships that they can now go back on, reflect on, and move forward into their career pathway, which is why it was such an integral component. When we're looking at the data, these relationships and the people that were involved in these internships are referenced constantly. People are a key part of getting really making this experience what it was for these students. So that being said, these relationships are going to be kind of a research priority going forward. But first, the internships really highlight the importance of providing this access, this exposure to STEM careers earlier on than before they get to the post-secondary level. So within the secondary level, providing these exposure experiences in STEM career fields is really important. And I think this evaluation really stresses the need for increased access to these professionals, these mentors, these spaces, and learning opportunities in STEM and STEM career fields. That being said, we have a very high demand. We want to give every student who applies an internship opportunity. We just don't have the bandwidth and the partners to do that. We are very fortunate to have the partners that we have, but if you know anyone that might be interested in serving as a summer intern in 2024, please do not hesitate to contact us. That being said, going off of that, we want to grow. We are constantly looking for new collaborators and partnerships, and we're constantly looking to strengthen the partnerships that we have. We learn a lot through these internship programs. What are we doing really well? What can we improve upon? How can we further support both the students, the mentors, and everybody involved in this process? That said, in terms of research directions, so we know what is happening or what students are gaining from these summer experiences, but going forward, and it's going to be a topic in my dissertation studies, is we want to explore how they are developing these skills, these attitudes, these dispositions from their work environments, but again, from the people and the relationships they are forming within these work environments. And with that, I will take any questions. I would like to thank all of our mentors, everybody involved in the GenSea internships and GenSea in overall, just all of our collaborators, partners, and those who really dedicate time that they don't necessarily have to our program. And I'll take any questions.